chair now recognizes the gentleman from Georgia, the vice chair of the subcommittee, for 5 minutes.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and thank each of you for being here. I appreciate it very much. As the chairman mentioned, I'm from Georgia. I have the honor and privilege of representing the entire coast of Georgia. Obviously, hurricanes are a concern to us. Obviously, the emergency management system is important. One thing to note also, for those of you who may not be familiar with Georgia, that we always say there are two Georgias. There's Atlanta and everywhere else. Well, we're everywhere else in South Georgia. So access to AM radio is important to us and very important. But, natural disasters like hurricanes are traumatic, and oftentimes there's no other means of getting alerts other than the AM radio. So I'm glad to see that companies such as Ford have reversed their decision to remove AM radio in their EVs based on this information, and I'm hopeful that more will follow suit with that. Mr. Smith, in my district, we have Hyundai that is building one of their EV plants. In fact, it is the largest economic development project in the history of the state of Georgia. A $5.5 billion investment that's going to create over 8,100 jobs, plus probably that many more in ancillary businesses. So we're very excited about it. They've announced that they have no plans to remove AM radios from their vehicles as well. So we're encouraged to hear that. Can you explain to me why some of the OEMs plan to keep AM and others don't? I mean, what's the rationale here?
Well, first off, I can't really comment on individual OEM plans, but I will say our manufacturers are very consumer-focused, and they run focus groups, et cetera, and they look at their various product portfolios and the kind of consumers that use their products and what they want. So I can't say much more than that, and other than the fact that it seems like some of our members see value in it, and all of our members, though, see value in providing the full network of the iPause alerts, and we certainly support that and commit to that.
I keep hearing that interference with the EV batteries is a problem, that static and that type of thing. Is that true?
Well, I mean, in general, AM has issues with static and interference. That's something that FEMA has documented. But I can't say much in terms of very specifics because, again, EVs, even within EVs, are different. They have a number of different motors, different components, different places where they're placed. So I don't have any particular specific information about the type of shielding or the type of recommendations they do or remediations they do in terms of filtering to be able to pull out some of that static.
I just got to tell you, I'm a little skeptical of that. I have to believe that, if they really wanted to, they could fix that problem. I mean, I don't know, maybe I'm wrong. Lieutenant Colonel DeMasi, while you serve the great state of New Jersey, as I say, can you tell me how my constituents in Georgia 1 would fare in a Category 5 hurricane without AM radio?
Thank you for the question, Congressman. When those survivors don't have a sense of what's happening around them, it tends to affect adversely their decision-making processes, whether it's to shelter in place or maybe to evacuate. And we want to make sure that those survivors have most critical, up-to-date information possible. New Jersey, through the Emergency Management Assistance Compact, has assisted Georgia in providing generators in the past to help support power during
And
those
we
crises.
appreciate that, and it does not go unnoted.
Yes, sir. We definitely know how important it is to make sure some of those critical pieces of infrastructure come back online as swiftly as possible. And part of that process is making sure that you're effectively communicating with your public, and AM has that ability to transcend some of those other challenges to the infrastructure.
Mr. Chapman, real quick, you mentioned in your testimony that AM radio helps those who have poor wireless and broadband signals stay connected. And, again, South Georgia, we don't have the best broadband. We've got some, and it's good, but we don't have the best. But we got a lot of agriculture, so this would impact while this proves that we have a lot of work to do, and particularly on this committee to improve broadband, rural broadband, can you please share the volume and type of information that these communities receive through AM radio?
So thank you for the question, Congressman. We have a lot of ag and farm information that we have on our stations, and a lot of that goes on our AM radio stations. It's very important because that's how it's received by those communities, and it's also important to point out that those communities have other ways to receive things, but it's easiest for them when they're out in a combine, something like that, to have it on the AM radio. They have other means, but they still choose, and ag information across radio is one of the most important ways it's delivered today.
Good. Thank you, and thank you, Mr. Chairman. I yield back.